Marie is back. Let's show you how I got this pink and white ombre on a brand new set, because Marie hasn't been here for a while. She's been doing a lot of housework, yard work, so I'm going to have her go scrub her hands the best she can. Even though she did already, I'm going to have her do it again. So sometimes it's just up in there and you just cannot get it out to save your life. And I don't have time to soak her for an hour, so she said, just do it. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So we're going to go ahead and prep her natural nail using my fine grit sanding band. So Marie is usually an every 2-week client, but she took a little break because her nails were breaking. She was doing all this yard work. She was putting new floors in her house, and they're DIYers. So, she thought it was best just to leave them off because she took some off and they were a little sore until everything was done. So now everything's done. She's back. She wants a new set. And Marie, since the time I met her many, many, many moons ago, anytime she gets a brand new set, 9 times out of 10, she wants her first set to be pink and white. However, I always tell her, but she knows that if we do a pink and white from the base, it's going to stay there, and we're just going to have to paint over it because it's the color of the acrylic that we're going to use, but she knows that, and she don't care. So that's that. That's a little thing. Like if somebody gets a colored acrylic from the boot like this, then either you're going to have to take their nails back off for a brand new set, or you're just going to have to work over that color next time they come. So basically probably no Frenchies. Well, unless it can work out. So we're going to use my white. We got our nail all prepped. So when you're doing a pink and white ombre, and I can tell you this, I need a little bit more, I need to get a little bit more better at this. Okay, because I don't do it very often. But I can tell you what, the reason why I use my Chisel 15B powder is because of this look. Because when Marie used to get this, I used to want a powder that was more opaque in the back and more just, better for this look. So that's where the Chisel 15B came. Now, I'm going to explain to you how to do this, but I didn't do it as perfect as I'm going to explain it. So when you put your white back down there, you can see that line right there where you can see my nail through there. You shouldn't see that. That means that my white is too wet. Okay, and I'm pressing down too much and it's getting too transparent right there. But also in the back where the white is starting or stopping, whatever you want to say, that should be more faded out and blended into the natural nail without being too wet, because you have to have a little bit of a stickiness, sticky bead there for it to stick really well. You always want to put your opaque powder right where that line starts to cover up that whole line. And then you have to swiftly blend it down. The wetter, the better, because it's going to blend better. And if your white is still a little bit unset and wet, those two will blend together even better. Okay. And then gently pat it back there. You shouldn't be able to see where the white and pink start and stop. However, like I said, I'm not perfect at this application yet, but I know how to tweak it and get it to work. But so every time I do a set, even after doing Marie's today, I kind of learned what to do better next time or what to eliminate next time. Like for instance, when I put my bead down right there, I need to make sure it's a little bit more drier so I don't see that line in the center where I glued the nail on. I also need to blend out that back a little bit more. So it needs to be at a certain dryness. This is where it gets so complicated. It needs to be at a certain dryness and wetness at the same time where you can blend the back, and then you have enough opaqueness and dryness to not see that line. So there's a couple things that I want to tweak there. Maybe go back and watch some other techs doing it to learn a better application for myself. However, a lot of people will pull a clear acrylic over top of all of this. I don't do that. Because I feel like I don't have to. Maybe it'll help blend the things better, but I don't think it does, because once you go back and put your clear on, the product's already dry anyway, unless you pull it over when it's still wet. But I don't feel like I need to pull the clear over to protect it because it's pink and white all the way down to the bottom. So there's really nothing to protect, in my opinion. I don't know. If you have another opinion, please let me know. I'm always up for constructive criticism or more better ways to do things. or better ways, as my more better critiquer out there would say. So yeah, I'm getting better and better at doing this every time I do it. However, I still need to get a little more experienced at doing this. Not everybody gets it. That's the thing. So Marie's pretty much the only one that comes in when she gets a new set, which isn't very often, to get this. So the pink, if there's too much pink on the free edge, I'm just going to file away because there's no clear over protecting it. So I'm going to give it a good file. And then after I get her all file shaped and contoured and all that stuff, I just simply have to put a top coat over it. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish file with my fine grit carbide bit and get some more of that pink off the free edge. And then after a top coat, guys, here's the final look. So it doesn't come out terrible, but I could definitely be improved.